This interactive video lesson highlights how to organize the first Education Week interactive learning panel based on the interactive presentation. You will learn to present the content of the presentation, adapt the lesson plan to learners' backgrounds, facilitate discussions and group work, and collect feedback to improve learning outcomes for young men. After watching this video, complete a short test to apply what you have learned.
The first interactive learning panel is built around the first open educational resource, interactive presentation, Health Matters, maximizing your potential for a healthy and thriving life. Young men independently study the interactive presentation and complete self-assessment questions on Moodle prior to the first self-learning session. Topics of the interactive presentation: gender stereotypes and their influence on health and well-being, embracing physical health and nutrition, risk-taking, alcohol and drug use, and health-seeking behavior, understanding and nurturing mental health, digital well-being and health. Together, these 5 topics provide a holistic framework for understanding young men's well-being. In the interactive learning panel, they serve as reference points for reflection and discussion. Before facilitating the first learning panel, make sure you review the full interactive presentation and understand its main content. Adapt examples and language to the background of your group, such as age, lifestyle, cultural context. Present the self-learning activity based on interactive presentation to learners during introductory session and ask them to complete it. Each interactive learning panel follows a clear lesson plan: a short introduction, reflections on the self-learning activity, small breakout activities, group discussions, a final summary, and feedback. This format promotes active participation and deeper understanding of the interactive presentation content. The work scenario is suggested to be structured into consecutive phases to ensure clarity, participation, and focused reflection. For example, opening and orientation. Facilitator welcomes participants and briefly confirms that the session builds on the completed interactive presentation. General reflections on the interactive presentation. The facilitator guides learners to reflect on the key messages of the presentation. Opening questions may include: which part of the presentation seemed most important to you? Which topic do you think is most relevant for young men today? Topic-based small group work. Participants are divided into small breakout groups. Each group is assigned one topic from the presentation and discusses its relevance to young men's well-being, focusing on key challenges visible in everyday life. Groups identify 2 main insights: plenary integration and reflection. Groups return to the main session, where each share one key insight. The facilitator highlights connections between different topics without evaluation or comparison. Closure. Participants are invited to reflect individually on which topic feels most relevant to their own well-being. The facilitator thanks participants, collects feedback, and introduces upcoming second self-learning session. Young men are not a single, uniform group. They come with different life experiences, pressures, and expectations, including very different ideas about health and masculinity. That's why one fixed lesson plan will not work for everyone. Psychological safety is the foundation of any learning process. In online sessions, this means making participation flexible. Cameras should be optional, chat participation should count, and passing should always be allowed. When young men feel safe and not judged, they are more willing to reflect and engage. Participation is shaped by many factors. Educational experiences influence confidence with learning. Socioeconomic realities affect stress and health choices. Cultural norms and ideas about masculinity shape how comfortable young men feel discussing well-being. Facilitators need to adapt their language and methods to these realities. There are simple ways to adapt effectively. Use real-life examples instead of abstract concepts. Avoid moralizing health behaviors. Frame self-care as strength, responsibility, and control. And when working with sensitive groups, use scenarios rather than asking for personal disclosure. Adaptation is an ongoing process, requiring facilitators to read the group and adjust pacing, questions, and methods to support meaningful and respectful learning. During the panel, the youth worker should structure group work using a mix of open questions, pair sharing, and group tasks. As well-being topics may feel sensitive for some young men, it is important to create a safe and non-judgmental environment. Digital engagement tools, for example, Mentimeter, Slido, polls, breakout rooms, can support anonymous or small group participation before moving to full group discussion. Examples of questions. What expectations/stereotypes are often placed on men in society? What habits are important for staying physically healthy? What are common health risks among young men? What helps or harms young men's mental health? How does phone or screen use affect well-being? Please note, focus on general insights and patterns, not personal experiences. To connect learning with practice, invite participants to choose one topic from the presentation that feels most relevant to them. Ask them to briefly note for themselves why it feels relevant or what they might consider improving in their own behavior regarding this topic. Clarify that this is a private reflection and sharing is optional. The first learning panel concludes by summarizing the discussions and insights shared by participants. The youth worker collects short feedback using tools such as Slido, Google Forms, or a simple reflective question to assess how helpful the interactive presentation was and what could be improved. Finish the learning panel by summarizing the key messages, encouraging participants to note one personal takeaway, and introducing the next learning activity of the educational week, second self-learning session. Now, we invite you to the quiz section, where you can test your knowledge by answering 3 questions. Tick the correct answer. Whether you chose right or wrong, you will be given an explanation for the answer. Here we go. That's all for this lesson. Thank you for your participation. Follow the program in the eStudio to learn more skills to provide digitally transformed non-formal training for young men on health and well-being. Upon successful completion of the training, you will receive the digital badge, Innovative Promoter for Young Men Health and Well-being.